Yeah, and right off the bat, it's heavy. She's talking about struggling with drug abuse, alcohol abuse.
Wow.
Also mentions involvement in occult practices,
Like what?
like tarot card readings. And she connects those to demonic experiences.
Whoa.
So it's like she's saying she's dealing with some really dark stuff, like inner demons, almost literally.
Right.
At least in hoteling.
So in the middle of all this craziness, she meets a pastor.
Yeah.
And it seems like kind of a turning point in her story, you know?
Yeah. Big time.
He gives her this message, and it's almost like he knows what's up with her personally.
Right.
Like, God sees your struggles.
Yeah.
He sees, like, all those times when you're sad and alone, and he's got a plan for you.
A plan.
Yeah, like a plan specifically for her.
Wow.
Including giving her songs to write.
That's interesting.
So it's like a hopeful message, you know, like a light
yeah.
in all this darkness she's going through.
What a ray of hope.
But then right after, it's almost like a warning.
What?
The pastor says the devil's gonna try to take her life.
Oh, no.
And he even brings up her past.
What about her past?
He specifically mentions, like, a suicide attempt she had 15 years before this.
Oh, so this isn't her first rodeo?
Right. So now it's like, okay, there's this spiritual battle going on.
Yeah, a real battle.
Good versus evil, you know? And it's pushing and pulling her in different directions.
Right.
But sadly, her troubles, they don't just disappear.
Right.
She talks about getting hooked on painkillers.
Oh, no.
And then there's this awful incident.
What happened?
She was drunk, and she told her son to kill himself.
Oh, my God.
She even threw him a rope.
That's terrible.
It's like the lowest point for her.
Yeah, rock bottom.
You can just imagine the guilt.
Yeah.
And the self-hatred after something like that. It shows how addiction and despair, it can destroy someone's life.
Completely.
And it makes you understand why she felt so desperate.
Yeah, totally.
Like she needed help.
Yeah.
So she reaches out to God.
For help.
Begs for forgiveness.
Okay.
And for some kind of sign, you know?
A sign of what?
Like a sign that he's listening, that he's there.
Right.
But she feels like he's silent.
Oh, no.
Like nothing.
That's got to be hard.
Yeah. So she feels abandoned.
Abandoned by God.
Yeah, and even starts blaming him for her situation.
Wow.
And then she decides to end her life.
That's so sad.
It's a really powerful part of her story, you know?
I can imagine. Unanswered prayers leading to such a dark place. It's a really tough situation.
Absolutely. So this is the background.
Right.
This is where she's at when she has the near-death experience.
Okay.
So what happens when she, like, leaves her body?
Yeah, I'm curious.
Well, she talks about this weird sensation.
Weird how?
Like passing through something.
Okay.
And she compares it to a black garbage bag.
A garbage bag? That's a strange image.
Yeah. It's kind of disturbing.
Yeah.
Then she finds herself in a desert.
A desert.
Yeah, but she's very specific. Like, it wasn't heaven.
Okay.
It wasn't hell.
Where was it?
She doesn't believe in purgatory. So it's like this in-between space.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, deserts are often symbolic, like in a lot of spiritual traditions, they represent like testing and purification, you know.
Right.
Facing your inner self in solitude.
And then she sees her mom.
Her mom.
But she's not dead, right?
No, her mom's still alive at this point.
That's interesting.
And she says that she used to, like, worship her mother.
Worship.
Yeah. Like maybe even putting her above God in her life.
Wow.
But all her mom does in the desert is point and say, look, there is Jesus.
Interesting.
Like she's directing her attention.
Yeah, towards Jesus.
Right, emphasizing that the focus shouldn't be on her, the mother.
It's like a divine correction, you know?
Yeah.
Pointing her towards the real source of, like, devotion.
Right. It's pretty profound.
Yeah, it's deep. And then what?
And then she sees Jesus.
Okay.
But not how you'd expect.
How was he?
He's a child.
A child.
Like about 12 years old.
Wow.
Curly dark hair. It's interesting.
Sitting by this white fenced barn.
A barn.
Yeah, and he's teaching from a book.
Teaching who?
These older men in robes.
Hmm.
She thinks they might be like Pharisees or scribes or something.
That's from the Bible.
Right. But she's confused.
Right.
Because he's a child, you know?
Right. That's not the image most people have of Jesus.
Exactly. So what could it mean?
Well, maybe it represents innocence.
Okay.
Or a new beginning.
Right.
Like the early stages of his teaching.
Yeah. And the barn, maybe that's about humility, you know?
Yeah.
Humble beginnings.
Yeah.
And the white fence, maybe it's about separation.
Or boundaries.
Yeah. So she starts walking towards this fence.
Towards Jesus.
Yeah, she gets to the end of it,
Okay.
and then she hears this voice.
A voice. Like God.
She doesn't say, but it's a clear warning.
What does it say?
One more step, and you will be in darkness. And you will not return.
That's intense.
So she stops.
That's a hard stop right there.
Yeah, it's like a line she can't cross.
The boundary.
And when she turns around,
Yeah.
Jesus is there again.
The child.
No, now he's a man.
How old?
About 33.
So is more like well-known image.
Right. And he's on the other side of the fence.
Still by the barn?
Yeah, but the fence is still there between them.
Okay, so the fence is important.
Yeah, like a barrier,
Uh-huh.
keeping them separate.
Gotcha.
And then they lock eyes.
What happened?
Intense eye contact.
Wow.
And suddenly she remembers everything.
Everything. Like what?
All the bad stuff she's done.
Oh.
It's not like a movie, she says.
Okay.
Just like this immediate knowledge.
Oh, powerful.
And then Jesus tilts his head
What?
and smiles.
Smiles at her.
This beautiful smile, she says.
Wow.
And then he puts his hand on her shoulder.
Her shoulder.
Yeah, her left shoulder.
Okay.
And says, I forgive you.
Oh, wow.
You will teach my people my word.
Amazing.
But at first, she's like confused.
Confused.
Yeah. She's like, wait, me?
She doesn't think she's worthy.
Right. She talks about her lack of education and her time in prison. And she even says, like, she didn't even know the word of God was the Bible. She just thought it was called the Bible.
So she wasn't religious, really.
Not at all.
Interesting.
But then Jesus explains
Explains what?
that it's not about religion.
Okay.
It's not about denominations.
Right.
He calls those divisions.
Divisions.
Yeah, like things that separate people.
Uh-huh.
And he says, what matters is your personal relationship with him.
Okay.
Like one-on-one.
A direct connection.
Exactly. And then it gets even weirder. Yeah. She says she sees the future.
The future.
Like 16 years ahead.
Wow.
But she's also feeling the present
Okay.
and experiencing the past.
All at once.
Yeah, like 2,000 years ago with Jesus as a child.
That's mind-blowing.
It's like time isn't linear anymore.
Right, like our normal understanding of time is out the window.
And remember how she saw her mom?
Yeah, in the desert.
Well, Jesus didn't say her mom would die,
Okay.
but she later understood it meant she would understand when he brought her mother home.
Meaning when she passed away.
Right. But she didn't get it until her mom actually died.
Wow.
And that's when she fully committed to God.
Powerful.
Like, it all clicked into place.
Yeah. Sometimes it's like that, you know. We don't always understand things right away.
Absolutely. And then she talks about this process.
What process?
She calls it total surrender.
Total surrender.
Yeah. Giving up drugs, cigarettes, bad language.
A complete life change.
Yeah. But she's honest, you know?
About what?
It was gradual.
Okay.
She slipped up sometimes.
That's relatable.
Yeah. But she says, what matters is getting back up.
Right, never giving up.
Exactly. And then there's this really intense part.
What happens?
She sees Jesus looking away.
Looking away from her.
Yeah. And when she looks, he's looking at us.
Us. The listeners.
Yeah, and she feels his emotions.
His emotions, like how
like
to?
through his hand on her shoulder.
Okay.
She feels this pain.
Pain about what?
Losing loved ones who don't take him seriously.
Oh.
But then immediately after,
Yeah.
pure love.
Wow.
Like indescribable love.
That's intense. To feel both those things at once.
And she has this realization, humans are his heart.
His heart.
Not as a metaphor, she says,
right.
but literally like his heart's been broken.
Broken into pieces.
Yeah, billions of pieces.
Wow.
Each with their own mind.
Like each person.
Yeah, and their own choices to make.
And he wants them to come back to him.
Right? And she gets this message like, God's not far away.
Okay.
He's inside those who are saved.
Inside them.
Yeah, she even says her breath is God's breath.
That's deep.
And he wants to be seen, you know?
Seen how?
Manifested in the world.
Through people.
Yeah. She even describes what Jesus is wearing at the fence.
What was he wearing?
A tunic.
A tunic.
Yeah, down to his elbows.
Interesting. And was this heaven?
No, she says it wasn't heaven yet.
Okay.
Heaven was beyond the fence.
So, like, she was at the entrance.
Yeah, on the threshold. And she says she saw Jesus as muscular.
Muscular.
Yeah. And later, she realized it represented his strength.
Strength to do what?
To help her through the next 16 years.
The 16 years she saw in the future.
Yeah, which she calls her hell on earth.
Wow. So his strength would carry her through.
Exactly. And remember that white fence.
Yeah, the barrier.
Well, when she was saved, she understood.
Understood what?
It represented her sins.
Oh, wow.
Separating her from Jesus.
It all comes together.
And she says everything she saw was a parable.
With meaning for her life.
Right. And her big message.
What's the takeaway?
Surrender to Jesus.
Make him the Lord of your life.
That's the whole point of her sharing this experience.
It's a powerful message for sure.
So we've covered a lot.
Yeah, we went deep.
We started with her struggles.
Drugs, alcohol, the occult.
That suicide attempt, her rock bottom moment with her son.
Tough stuff.
And then her near-death experience.
The black garbage bag.
The desert.
Yeah.
Seeing her mom and Jesus. That warning voice.
Yeah.
The fence.
The fence is key.
It's all about sin and separation.
And needing to break it down.
To be with Jesus.
Right.
It's a very personal interpretation, obviously.
Yeah, but it's clear this experience changed her life.
Completely. And her understanding of God's love?
Yeah, that's what she wants people to see.
That he wants a relationship with us.
A direct connection.
Right. So as you think about all this,
yeah,
think about the fences in your own life.
What do you mean?
Like, what are the barriers you're facing?
Okay.
Could be internal struggles, past hurts, limiting beliefs,
right,
anything holding you back.
Okay.
What would it mean to break down those fences?
That's a good question.
Thanks for taking this deep dive with us.
Always a pleasure.
Until next time.